Hey guys, just going to run through some alt BTC pairs that I'm really liking at the moment. We're going to start with ETH. Obviously, looking at ETH USD, it's already parabolic, it's getting sent, but typically you'd look at this chart and go, "Oh, I've missed it. It's too pumped." But once we look at the FBTC, the Bitcoin pair ratios, it starts to paint a different picture. Obviously, FBTC is something that's been. This is a Binance chart. I'll just get a different one up with a longer history. All right, so yeah, we'll pop out with the Bitfinex. Obviously, FBTC has been in a downtrend since 2017, so it's like 4 years now, 3.5 years or something like that. Obviously, it's been forming this massive base starting since the 3rd of September in 2018. We've got this massive IHS sort of forming, keeps forming higher lows on the way up. It's now flipping these major weekly moving averages. I think I've got the 50 and the 100 up for memory. Yeah, I think I got the 50 and the 100 up here. I think FBTC is painting a different picture. So obviously this is a massive 3-year base. We've got this big inverse head and shoulder forming. I think if we pull up the volume here, blah blah blah. If we pull up the volume, we can see on the breakout we got the big volume. This is exactly what we want to see in an inverse head or in any head and shoulder. Really, we want to see some volume on the breakout. So we broke out here, pulled back, but even though we pulled back underneath this neckline, because it's printed a higher low and didn't come back below here, it's still very much valid. I do think, over the coming year, I think this is going to be the year for ETH. I think Ethereum's going to, end up finally breaking this resistance. I think ultimately, the first resistance, in my opinion, like the first major resistance is up here at 84k sats, and then probably the next one after that is maybe 100k sats. But even from current levels, that is 120% move against Bitcoin. Now, if Bitcoin still carries, continues up to 100k and beyond while this is happening, that's just going to mean ETH is pumping even more. So, it could. If Bitcoin doubles from here, that means ETH will triple from here because it's going to be outperforming Bitcoin. But it's really easy to look at the USD pair and go, oh shit, fuck, I've missed the run. It's, I can't buy it here, blah, blah, blah. But when you look at these Bitcoin paired trades, it really paints a different picture. Ethereum's still got a lot further to go, in my opinion. I think next one that I was looking at, Link is another one. Link BTC is one that I really like as well. I made a tweet about it today, but I think Link BTC has got this really nice bottoming formation, the same formation we saw in Bitcoin back in 2018 at the very lows. It had this first spike down, which was the low, formed like a nice sharp reversal, had a little test bump, and then had a really slow grind back down. Formed like a little inverse head and shoulder, and then it eventually broke out. Now that was a nice rounded bottoming formation, and a higher low at the same time, and then it broke out, and then from there I think Bitcoin went to 14k. So that was a massive run. So I do think Link BTC's got that exact same pattern. It might come down a little bit, have an inside bar today or so, but I do think this is very bullish for Link, and I think at bare minimum it's going to the top of this channel, probably the 50 fib, and could potentially go even higher than that. I'm not 100% sure how high Link will go. I'm not sure whether or not it's going to make a new all-time high against Bitcoin, but I do think from here it's going higher and it's going to outperform Bitcoin, and its USD value is going to explode. Like even to the 61.8, that's still like an 80% rise from here against Bitcoin. Which if Bitcoin, same with Ethereum, if Bitcoin's going higher, then the USD pump on Link will be higher as well. Sushi is another DeFi one that I like. Obviously, Sushi BTC, to me, this is a clear ABC. It's been forming since the 3rd of February. ABC, I guess you could call it. Some kind of wedge or whatever, but I don't really trade that sort of shit. To me, that's an ABC. I'm an Elliott wave trader. I would consider this, major wave 4 in, and this would be a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's going to make a new high. Obviously, this is against Bitcoin, so I think it's going to make a new high above the top of this wave 3, which is probably around 70% or so against Bitcoin. So in USD value, that'll probably be more again. Sushi's one that I really like. Another that I'm really starting to like is Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi Bitcoin looks really good here on the weekly. I think, it's kind of similar to Link. It sort of had the big spike, and then it's grinding all the way back down to these range lows. We've got a nice sort of bottoming formation happening here. if we zoom in on daily, again, there's another sort of IHS forming, but on the weekly, it's actually kind of like an evening star, or it was an evening star morning star last week. So that's a nice bottoming formation. I do think that too is going to range highs. So for Wi-Fi Bitcoin, that is, for me, at bare minimum, 100% move up against Bitcoin. So against USD, I think that will end up being, like a move to 100K. I mean, yeah, so was FTX one of the, yeah, I think FTX was one of the first to list Wi-Fi. Yeah, so Wi-Fi is it took a stab at all-time high in February, and then has been trading sort of sideways ever since. Similar scenario here when it hit that 43K highs in September. So it hasn't really gone on like another parabolic run for a while other things have. So I do think it's been beaten down, it's been battered down, and I think Wi-Fi is going to actually break this resistance and clear it for good this time. And I think that'll probably take us, if Wi-Fi Bitcoin's going, 100% or whatnot, that's going to take us to Wi-Fi 100K fairly easily, in my opinion. So, obviously, if you just look at this USD chart, you'd be like, oh yeah, it kind of looks bullish. I don't know where to take it to. It's in price discovery. Well, that's why I like to use the Bitcoin paired charts, because it gives you a clearer picture and it gives you more of an understanding of where to take it. So, I would look at this Bitcoin chart and go, sweet, well, I can take it up to these range highs. That's 100% move. There's no price history for the USD chart, but if you just convert that 100% move from the Bitcoin chart and add it onto here, that gives you a fairly solid price target, where you can expect to take the USD pair to, which would be, for me, about 100K. So what else? I think Litecoin looks really bullish here. I mean, I like Litecoin a lot. I think Litecoin Bitcoin, is finally breaking out of this multi-year ending diagonal. It's been downtrending for a long time. It's finally breaking out. It's sort of been grinding down and faking out, all the way down. But I think for me personally, I think this is finally a breakout. We've got a really nice strong breakout of this ending diagonal. And that to me is like a fairly major bottom in Litecoin Bitcoin. For me, I think, obviously this, 45K sats will probably, be some kind of resistance. But I think for me personally, major resistance on Litecoin is like 7,900 sats. So that's like 81% higher against Bitcoin again. So the USD pair on Litecoin's already sort of parabolic. It hasn't broken the highs yet. So I think Litecoin's got a long way to go. I think it can really catch up to Bitcoin in terms of gains. I think if that's 80% against Bitcoin, that's going to be, whoa, let me just remove this mess. Yeah, so if that's 80% against Bitcoin, that's probably going to be, that'll take us up to $500 or so. I think it's probably going to go higher than that, to be honest. I think 500 would be very conservative. That's only just sort of poking its head above this prior all-time high. Litecoin F is looking fairly bullish as well. So I do think, in the short term, Litecoin's probably going to outperform a lot of the majors, only because I think, this is a large ABC and a lower high here on Litecoin F. So I do think it might pull back a little bit here, but then I do think ultimately it's going to go above here. So I think Litecoin will probably outperform all three, over the next couple of weeks, but I like all of them. What have we done? Litecoin, Sushi. Comp's another one that I'm in. I really like Comp. That's another DeFi project. I think Comp BTC, we had a nice impulsive rise up here, then a long drawn out ABC, finally broke out of this sort of downtrend, then immediately dumped. I mean, yeah, the weekly, that was a really nice weekly engulfing here, but then it immediately dumped, almost did a full retrace. But I do think Comp BTC is bottomed now. I think it's probably going to go, start its next parabolic leg higher, impulsive rise, and I think at bare minimum it's going to go above this first test pump, which was at about 14,600 or so sats. But ultimately I think it'll probably go higher than that. So I think, yeah, Comp again, probably another 100% move to the upside. I do think this is a new uptrend. Well, actually, yeah, resistance is up there at about 21K. So I think ultimately Comp, another nice DeFi project, 164% target against Bitcoin. So I do think, the market's telling us that, it's time to start paying attention to alts again. They're probably going to outperform Bitcoin, over the next coming months. I think, probably a couple of months, I reckon. But I'm still bullish on Bitcoin. I'm just starting to see these setups for a lot of the alt BTC pairs, which are starting to turn macro bullish against Bitcoin. So I do think it's hard to ignore. Just wanted to pop in and do a little video update just so people are on the same page as me. And I think that covers a fair few things for now. So I'll leave it at that. Cheers, guys. Bye.